many games let you break your ankle because you walked down the mountain like an idiot? Not that many. Oh, this feature's gonna bite me in the ass. I got a lot of intel since our last Ghost Recon video. I actually played and recorded over 2 hours of this game, and I got to interview one of the lead developers. I experimented with and captured as much as I could of injuries gameplay, vehicles, weapons, survival gameplay, rolling around in the mud. I've got a lot of interesting stuff to show you. But before that, I'd like to give a huge thanks to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video and inviting me to a private Ghost Recon Breakpoint event at E3. That's right, I'm making this video at E3, so you know what that means. I'm recording with a USB microphone. Yeah! This time, me and the boys played for 2 hours, and I interviewed Sebastian Leprestra. I asked him a lot of questions, including many questions that many of you asked in the comments section of my last Breakpoint video. Anyway, I'm really excited to share this with you guys. This was actually the game that I had the most fun playing at E3 this year. A lot of these gameplay features are actually fantastic, and I really hope that this level of physicality becomes standard. Also, I will have no commentary gameplay later on in this video, but not before I talk about how much I love breaking my ankle. By the way, where are the orthotics in this game? Might help me from breaking the other one. The developers gave us some excellent gear and weapons to play around with. This was not beginning of the game stuff, and while we didn't have access to the entire open world, we were dropped into a slice of it that we were free to explore. And the slice felt huge, even though it's comparatively a small area of the map. We played a main mission, faction missions, engaged in open world activities, dicked around, and performed some tactical espionage.
Oh shit! Get out! Down. Oh no! Yeah, you got it. Fuck!
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin.
So after I wrote and edited this video, Ubisoft said on Twitter that they're adding AI teammates to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now we don't have many details on this, and we don't know if it's coming post-launch or not, and we don't know if you're going to be able to play as a solo ghost. I'm assuming you will have the option to have teammates or be solo. Regardless, I think that's awesome that they're actually listening to community feedback this quickly, but ignore in the later parts of the video where I say there are no AI teammates. Anyway,
back to your scheduled programming.
I'm going to go over some important bullet points and highlights of what I'm going to show you. So the game launches October 4th, and the beta is September 5th. You can pre-order now for guaranteed access to the beta. The open world is as large as Wildlands, which was a huge map, but this map is richer and much more detailed. There are over 30 new vehicles on-road, off-road, water, and air, many being military. You've got the injury system, this guy, tactical mud, tactical wire cutters, tactical piggyback, this guy, and expanded survival elements. This game isn't called Wildlands 2 because that's not what they set out to make. And that's a good thing in my eyes, because while it takes some good things Wildlands introduced and improves upon them, they set out to make Breakpoint a stronger Ghost Recon experience.
But enough! It's time for injuries!
This can kill you.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
Ah, that's what Daddy likes.
Ah!
Terrain is a part of gameplay. It's punishing and actually something to consider in your strategies. If you don't pace yourself going down slopes and minding your surroundings, you can wind up with a broken leg before you even see a hostile. In addition, there's a new movement system, so there's a natural weight to your character's movements that just feels right when you're playing the game. You're not floaty, you have inertia, but none of this sacrifices responsiveness. So it's not a gimmick, and it's not clunky, and it's in service of gameplay. It's not necessarily in your favor, however. This realism in movement means you're no longer a four-wheel drive mountain goat. And injuries can take many forms. Different injuries affect you in different ways. Try to rush over a mountain, you might break your ankle, not only slowing you down, but also affecting your stamina bar and your agility, making it more difficult to be stealthy. Get a nasty bullet wound in your arm, and not only is your aim worse, but you can't reload weapons as quickly. Injuries are semi-permanent and accumulating, so you can have more than one at a time, and the effects stack. Each injury takes away 1 bar of your health. You can use bandages to heal an injury and recover a health bar. Sometimes you'll have to use multiple bandages. If you die, you can redeploy, but you maintain whatever injuries you had on death. If you want to recover health points, you'll need to use a syringe. The injury system is something that directly affects gameplay, and it's not only great for immersion, but it also limits your ability to cheese through situations. You can't cheese through environments. Your character's more connected to the world. I found myself zigzagging up steep inclines, navigating where it made sense, instead of just treating everything like stairs. Consequences of firefights, or falling, or crashing your vehicle aren't just your health bar being lowered anymore. It's less black and white, and the world is more tangible. You can now carry bodies, so if your teammate is critically injured, you can carry them to a safer place before patching them up. You can even load them onto vehicles. This is obviously huge for stealth because you can hide corpses. And while you're carrying a corpse or a body, you still have access to your sidearm and you can shoot, which is awesome because if you're playing solo, you don't have any AI teammates, so you would be very vulnerable if you couldn't do that. Prone camouflage is awesome. You cover yourself in mud or snow, and you're far more difficult to spot. And of course, you can still shoot, but you cover yourself in your environment. I love that. I don't think I've ever seen that in a game before. A ghillie suit made out of mud. Beautiful thing. With terrain being unforgiving, vehicles are more useful than ever as a quick and safe way to travel, but they're not always stealthiest. Handling, you guys are going to appreciate this if you played Wildlands, handling is such an improvement, both on land and in the air. It's startling how much better it feels, especially when you're going over rocky terrain. But vehicles can't carry you everywhere. Cars have limits, and helicopters are vulnerable to anti-air. So you'll often need to proceed on foot. When I asked the developers about enemies, they said, "This is Ghost Recon. Headshots will always kill. Drones have health bars, humans do not." I didn't find anything bullet spongy. High-level enemies may have armor that you need to knock off, but the helmets and Kevlar aren't sponges, and I never felt more than 2 or 3 well-placed sniper bullets away from the most armored human enemy I found. And the drones didn't feel like sponges either. You're targeting things like armor plating, cameras, servos, things that directly affect them by stunning or changing their gameplay. I guess drones have an injury system as well. And if you're out in the open, some drones will mark your position and call in wolves to that area. So not all drones are directly offensive, which is kind of fun. There's a wider range of enemy archetypes for both humans and drones, and all of them take advantage of improved AI. Behemoths are the largest drones in the map. They're enormous, they're fast, and they pack a lot of ordnance, so battles can be chaotic and tricky to manage. The mortar fire of this particular tank made it really difficult to stay in cover and attack with vehicles.
Yeah, throw an EMP and we'll take the vehicle in. And level cap will shoot it up.
Give me a clear shot on them with this minigun. We got this. Oh god.
Let me know when the EMP is a go.
That thing sounds
EMP is a go. EMP is a go.
Alright, coming in.
Yeah, the rocket. Give me a clear shot.
And in between his armor. He's at half.
Okay, I just don't see his health marker. Oh my god.
Oh, fuck. I'm dead. Watch out. They killed the driver. So what happens if you die in a vehicle?
He's almost dead. Almost dead. Oh, I'm down.
Can your teammate drag you out of the
I'm
vehicle?
getting shot.
Oh!
He's almost down.
I wasn't sure what to expect with the drones, but I found the fights to be a lot of fun. They're well animated. There's something predatory to them. They're AI, they're relentless. But they didn't feel cheap. These guys, however, I'm just gonna let my teammates fight those. Oh, those are a nightmare. And then you have the wolves. Ex-brothers in arms, they're said to be the most dangerous threat on Aroa. They're led by Cole D. Walker. He's a ghost too. So you're gonna see some similarities between the wolves and the ghosts. As for the story, you're marooned behind enemy lines, and you don't have the support that you had in Bolivia. This time around, you're the hunted. You start the game by learning to survive, eventually piecing together what the hell John Barathol is really up to over the course of the game. From the onset, there are no restrictions. You can tackle things in any order. There are multiple difficulties, such as medium, hard, and extreme. And there are hours of cutscenes this time, some of which being flashbacks to when Cole was your brother-in-arms. But the story isn't just deeper and with more cutscenes, the whole mission structure is different. They wanted to give total freedom of choice. And this is what I found really interesting. How you get missions is more organic, with you needing to gather intel or interrogate civilians, piecing together information leading you to your next target, to your next mission. And the world. Set on Aroa, an archipelago in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the open world is another big improvement over Wildlands. It's diverse with fjords, deserts, swamps, beaches, jungles, and volcanic areas, with plenty of urban areas throughout. The scaling of foliage and trees and forests are far more natural. Forests feel immense, and mountain scaling too. All of this was built with the new terrain system in mind, so the world and terrain and movement work really well together. The graphics are leagues better, so much better. You really have to play it to appreciate just how much. The lighting system, textures, models, mud and snow and plant deformation, particle effects are excellent. Explosions are punchy, there's gore, and paint scratches beautifully. Weather is amazing too. Rain, fog, snowstorms, all of these majorly affect visibility and they look awesome. You can kind of tell when weather is turning foul by how the wind stirs the leaves and the grass. On to survival. You can craft, you can gather supplies, you can hunt the local wildlife, and you can plan mission approach from the bivouac. My favorite feature of the bivouac is being able to choose what hour you depart from camp, which is just fantastic for planning. It's an excellent idea. While I can't show you the bivouac yet, I can tell you about it, and it is pretty cool. With there being more ramifications to your actions in this world, you have more ways to prepare, to survive. There's actually quite a bit of prep here. Bivouacs have three main categories: tactics, preparations, crafting. Before you head out, you can restock on bandages or syringes, but there's also something called preparations. These give you a temporary buff, like calisthenics giving you an increase in stamina, or hydrating giving you an increase in fatigue resistance. Now tactics, that is really substantial. This is where you get to choose your specialization. There's actually a ton I could get into here, but I'm gonna be concise. You got Assault, Sharpshooter, Panther, and Field Medic, with more being added post-launch for free. Of course, each of these have differences in stats, which is supposed to represent their training, I would imagine. Like Assault having more health and better proficiency in weapon mobility, Snipers being able to hold their breath longer, and Panther having bonuses in stealth and movement speed. Some specializations have access to weapons that others don't, like the Sharpshooter and the Sniper Rifle, or Assault and the LMG, which can really rip into drones. Each specialization has a class technique, like the Sharpshooter's Armor Burster rounds. They also each have a class item, like Panther's Ventablack Spray. There's a lot that can be customized here to suit your playstyle. You can even make your own presets if you want. And again, since all progress in Breakpoint is shared across PvP and PvE, it's always your ghost, with all of your shit. Always. I love that. Not everything is locked to the bivouac, however. You can switch weapons on the fly and contents of your backpack like frags, EMP, and rocket launchers. And you can customize your appearance on the fly. You can share crafted items with your fellow operatives in the bivouac. You can't do that in the field. You'll also need to go back to the bivouac to craft. However, you can sometimes find items on enemies. As for guns, there are more weapons to be found across the map. And unlike Wildlands, weapons and equipment can be looted anywhere, not only from fixed points, but also off of enemies. Some enemies, such as the behemoth drones, drop loot as well. Guns have tiers and can be dismantled. Tiers will raise certain stats like accuracy or damage against drones, but they assured me that this is not OP. Ghost Recon Breakpoint is always online. Even if you're playing solo, it cannot be played offline. They said the reason being is that it's a necessary part of synergizing the entire experience. Your progress in PvE and PvP is shared. Your ghost always keeps their skills, weapons, customization. All progress in PvE is carried over to PvP, so any skill you unlock, you can use anywhere. It's a no-compromise system, and it's all completely synergized. This would not be possible without the server communication. That being said, you can play this game solo, So if you have a poor internet connection and you're not sure if you can play with other people because of your ping, playing solo doesn't require nearly the same connection speed as multiplayer. This was said to be a decision made by the entire team. It was essential for cross-progression, and it allows for the faster rollout of bug fixes, not to mention dailies, certain missions, etc. I understand it, and for me, the shared PvE and PvP progression is totally worth it because that is a huge time saver, but I can see where some people would be disappointed. Also, there are no AI teammates, but you do have sync shot with drones. But on the other hand, there is now the ability to play as a solo ghost. There are a ton of features that I'm really liking. Injuries, the new movement system, survival, vehicle handling, and a lot of little things like breaching, environmental camo, carrying bodies. All that makes a huge difference. I like the direction they're going with this, and if the post-launch is as good as Wildlands was, this should be an excellent co-op experience. But that was all the information I have on Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed, leave a like or subscribe for more videos on Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And once again, thanks to Ubisoft for making first-hand capture and interviews possible. And check out the game for yourself during the beta on September 5th. You can pre-order now for guaranteed access. And if you have any comments about Ghost Recon Breakpoint, any questions, what your favorite feature is, leave a comment below. I'd like to know what you have to say. Anyway, here's some sweet, savory commentary-free gameplay.